This card came out in 2016, and right now I'm using it to run my meeting transcriber, a chatbot, and a few other AI services, and it was all using hardware that I just had lying around that I haven't used in years. I had a meeting last week that I couldn't send to ChatGPT. Too much sensitive info, names, project details, stuff that can't leave the building. So instead, I ran it through my own AI, my own server, and it never touched the internet. The model that did it was running on a GPU from 2016. I only have access to 6 GB of VRAM, which will affect things such as context, and when we're using the chatbot, it will limit what I can do, but I was able to get some really good use cases out of this, do some meeting transcripts, use it to support further setup of my home server, and overall I've just been really happy with what I've been able to get out of this. Now, to get started with all of this, you will need a home server setup. What I'm currently using is ZimaOS. I was inspired by Dammit Jeff, who I'll link in the description below, but basically you need to pick an operating system that can be installed on your hardware and allows it to run as a home server that can be accessed through your web browser on the local server or through a proxy and through a domain. I ended up picking ZimaOS as well, but there's plenty of options from TrueNAS, which a lot of people really love and support, and also Unraid, which is really good if you have lots of hard drives that have different storage spaces on them, because Unraid is one of the only solutions that allows you to use multiple hard drives of different storage sizes. But unfortunately, these all have different pricing, and what I liked about ZimaOS was for the amount of hard drives that I had, it was completely free, really easy to set up. It had an iOS and Android app that I could use just to connect to my server, and I've just been really enjoying the simplicity of it overall. This video isn't going to cover the complete installation of ZimaOS and how you do all of that. I will link guides in the description. If it is something you're interested in though, please drop a comment, and it's definitely a video that can come in future. But one interesting thing about all of these is they generally offer an app store which allows you to quickly install apps or services for your OS. Now, they really are easy to use, but I chose and opted not to use these because I like being able to control the settings and setup through Docker and Portainer, which allow me a lot more customizability than just installing through the App Store. But that is one huge advantage of using ZimaOS. This is OpenWebUI, talking to Ollama that's running on my 1060. The model I'm using is Gemma 4 E2B, which is generally pretty good for the amount of VRAM that I have access to. Okay, so let me show you an example of why I use OpenWebUI and how it works with the Gemma model. So I'm going to ask a question such as, in ZimaOS and Portainer, I want to create and set up a stack for Ollama and OpenWebUI. So basically, to install what you're seeing right here, I'm going to let it run in real time. You can see that it does take a while on my old hardware, and the thinking process and then the output is not the fastest in the world, but it does actually give me a really nice YAML file that I can work with and put into Portainer and then set up OpenWebUI straight from this. Now you may be asking, like, why not just go to Claude or use some other service that already exists out there? And what's good about OpenWeb and why use it on my local hardware setup? The main advantage is that the data you're sending is not sent out and instead is on only your local machine. The model doesn't send any of that information. And eventually, yes, your chat windows will get too large and the context will be too much for my graphics card to handle, but for something really simple, like I want to just be able to write a quick YAML file or make a quick edit to something, I'm able to upload documents and files. You're able to put them in storage base and notes, and I can also do even web searches as well. It's really, really useful. And to top it off, I can access all of this from any device. It saves all of my chats. I can go on my phone and do the same thing, which I find so useful for doing my work tasks because it's data that has PII, so personally identifiable information, that I can't release out. And so this allows me to still work using an AI model, but not breach any privacy concerns around that. Okay, so that's just one example, right? And you may be saying to yourself, well, I've already got a good setup. I don't really need to use this on a local model. What's next? Well, a really good use case for me has been using Speakr to record transcripts, convert the audio into a complete transcript, and then use my Ollama model to run a meeting summary of the key issues discussed, what decisions were made, and any action items for me as well. So I'm going to show you an example here where I'm going to drop in just the audio transcript that I'm using for this video as an example. So I'm going to put in the audio file, and then Speakr, using WhisperX as the model underneath, is going to take that audio and transcribe all of the speaker notes. Once it's done that, it's going to then automatically put it through my Ollama model, in this case Gemma, and it's going to put out a summary of key issues discussed and what I talked about previously. Speakr then allows you to apply recording tags, so you can use that to filter, search, and sort any of the recordings that you've made. You can also identify speakers. Now, I don't find that this is very useful. I find that it often can't identify participants very well, and even though in the back end you can build and compile a list of participants as you go, I find that it often doesn't seem to pick them out very well. But what it does allow you to do though, is you can identify the speakers yourself. So in this instance, it's picked up 2 speakers, even though it's only me speaking. So it should only have myself. So I'm just going to put myself in there, or I can just do the checkbox as well. And you can see that by doing so, it's now, if I go save names, put myself as the speaker, and it's just compiled it all into one transcript now. And then it will rerun the summary based on that speaker. The best part is it doesn't just support dropping in audio files. You can actually record your browser windows, your system, your microphone, and system audio, so that you can just have it running in the background on meetings, though you should ask for consent first, obviously, but this is just such a time saver when it comes to daily meetings and running project governance. The other cool bit that I just want to show off quickly is in the admin section, you'll see under the prompt options, you're able to change what the default prompt is. And this can be done on a user level as well. So you can see that the summary defaults to the output that I've put in here, but I can also enter a custom summary if there's something in particular that I want from my meetings going forward, or just for this account. And you can set up many accounts, you can limit how many files they can store, and all of the actions that they can do. I find this so useful, and it's become part of my day-to-day. So how does all of this work? And I bet you're curious on the setup as well. So I've prepared this lovely diagram for you, which shows you that the meeting audio or recording goes in. I then run it through a WhisperX model, which does the transcribing and puts out all of the transcript for you, and it diaries it based on the speakers. You then apply Speakr and an Ollama model, which then goes through that transcript and then spits out the meeting summary. And all of this is done using my local hardware, just the GTX 1060 with only 6 GB of VRAM. And some meetings can get extremely long, right? I've had meetings that go over 1 hour in length, and I still don't find that the model has any issues with spitting out the transcript or anything around context or getting too large, anything like that. At the end, Speakr spits out a summary MD file, which you can just download, which is the summary notes that I showed you before. In terms of setup, what are we actually running? Well, in Container here, you can see that I've got my Speakr stack, which then connects to my Ollama stack. And for the summary, I'm just using Gemma 3.4b as the model. You have a range of models that you can use by default. I found that using Gemma 3 just worked the best for the meeting lengths that I had, and the summaries worked perfectly for what I was doing. The next stack that I've got is the Whisper ASR stack. You can see in here, I'm only using the tiny model. You do need to generate some tokens to be able to use this. Some Hugging Face tokens was how I got access to the model. You have to generate those. I will include the links in the description of how to do so. Let's talk quick numbers as well, because I know you want them. The whole server right now is using about 66% of my RAM, and that's because I have over 25 services outside of the ones that I just showed today. When I'm actually spinning up WhisperX and running the chatbot, I am getting to about 94% of the VRAM, which is stretching it to its limits. And I'm also pulling quite a lot of power. You'll see the wattage on the screen here, which isn't ideal for setups like these, and you'd probably like to get that down. But fortunately for me, I have a really nice solar setup, so the power constraints aren't really an issue at all, and the temperatures are relatively cool overall. Okay, so quick thing before you go, this has just been the AI corner of my server. This thing, as I mentioned, has over 25 services, including the meeting transcriptions, but also I have my own Spotify replacement, Google Photos, password managers, dashboards, the whole bit. In terms of the compose file shown today, I'll include a documentation link in the description to help you through the process. And again, if you are interested, I can do a full tutorial setup as well. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.